Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pitstop Fracas. I'm your host Anik, and today I'm joined by Martz, Kwame, and Nam. And we have an action-packed episode in store for you today. We're going to be looking briefly back at the Monaco Grand Prix and just some afterthoughts about the track, the layout, the heritage that it may carry. Looking back at look into the livery for some of the cars in F1, some of the number two drivers as well. As well as some quotes that came out this week in the F1 world. So yeah, we'll be looking to touch on that and sort of get our thoughts. But before we get stuck into it, let me ask you, Martin, how are you keeping?
It's been a tough week, tough weekend. Seeing the Ops win a Champions League, it's never good, man. It's never good.
Yeah, we can see the disappointment in your face, bro. And then straight underneath, on our StreamYard view, you got Kwame celebrating there. Yeah, how did you find that? How's your week been?
Well, it's an amazing week. I did think the boys would do it. I mean, I know I posted like a tweet back in March, April, saying that we get to the final, but to actually win it, it's amazing. I'm gassed, I'm over the moon, I'm speechless. I enjoyed myself last night. This close not to make it into the pod, so that's my voice. That's how mad it was. So I'm just gonna bring that energy from last night over to this pod and make the vibes good. So yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Nice one, bro. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Last but not least, Nam, how you keeping, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I really enjoyed the two finals. Like in regards to the Europa League, I enjoyed the Europa League final so much so. And then just to know that Manchester isn't ruling anything is really sweet. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, personally, it's just been it's been an okay week for me. I mean, well, let's start yesterday. Chelsea won Champions League. Wednesday, Man United bottled it when it came to the final. And then it all started with, for me, what I found to be quite a boring Monaco Grand Prix. All in all, I was reading somewhere I know there was only two overtakes the whole Grand Prix. There was Mick Schumacher on the inside of Nikita Mazepin, which is not a feat in itself. And then there was that exchange out of the pits between Vettel and Gasly, which even then you could argue was an overtake. But yeah, for me, guys, I found that a pretty boring watch. I understand that the heritage of Monaco, it's a nice backdrop, it's a street circuit. You got all the yachts, the amount of money it brings in to the local economy, etc., etc. But yeah, just be keen to get your thoughts on this. Let me come to you first, Nam. What was your take on Monaco? Should it even still be on the calendar?
The race itself was boring. Nothing happened. I think once Leclerc effectively was out of the race, it kind of stopped the excitement of anything happening. And as a result, it became a bit of a snooze fest. In regards to Monaco itself, I think I have a proposal for it, which would work. And I think we're going to touch on livery later. But if we make it kind of like an all-star weekend kind of vibe, where like all the teams have this kind of like different liveries for it. You've got the backdrops, you've got the fiasco, like I said, the glitz and the glamour, and kind of have it that kind of like one-off special, kind of like almost like the Indy 500, which is happening today. This kind of that one-off kind of race that gives you that kind of vibe. I think that would work for it. I think it has to stay in the calendar because it's Monaco. It's like saying, well, we're not going to play the FA Cup final at Wembley. Just then, what are we doing then? So I think it gives you that kind of notion. But yeah, it's. I know people have got different opinions on it. So
I mean, I'll be honest, bro. I'm completely against Monaco. I like racing. I love to see overtakes. I like to see action. I like to see changes at the front end of the grid. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember the past four Monaco races have only had 5 different leaders. So in 2017, you had Raikkonen leading, and then there was an exchange between Ferrari and the pit stops. and then Vettel was leading. 2018, start to finish, it was Ricciardo. 2019, start to finish, it was Hamilton. 2021, start to finish, Verstappen. There's no, that for me in itself, there's just no on-track excitement. There is just nothing there for me as a racer who wants to see great racing between drivers. Nothing there. It's literally, you know, a formation lap 72 times round. It's just really, really boring. And that for me is the, you know, the truth of the matter. Mart, I want to come to you. Anything we can do in terms of modifying the track to make it a bit more exciting, or do you reckon the fact it's a street circuit so close to the water, there's not much we can do?
Yeah, I suppose you could make it faster. You could. I don't know if you can make it any faster, but there's one chicane that I really don't like, where you come out the tunnel and then you go whoop whoop. I can't remember what one it's called, and I
think it's the Nouvelle chicane. Yeah.
The Nouvelle, I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we don't need it no more. You can straighten it out a bit to at least just make sure the cars have a longer, because that tunnel is the only place you can really overtake anyway. So you get rid of that. You give them a bit more space to overtake before they get into that corner.
To back. It's to back.
To back.
Yeah.
And then obviously then you have the rest of the race, which you can't really do much because it's kind of how the city's built. And I think I've seen a few YouTube videos as well, of people suggesting how you can make the track a bit bigger and wider and all of that. But it's up to people in Monaco. But my own personal opinion, I love Monaco. I think last year when it did happen,
what do you like so much about it? What's so good about it?
It's Monaco, man. It's like Madison Square Gardens. It's like Wembley. It's the Camp Nou. It's like you can't get rid of those. While even if things aren't going great for them, like for example in basketball, if the Knicks aren't going great, still to go to Madison Square Garden is still like, wow. It's this like it's the what's that thing? Well, I'm trying to think the word. Not
aura.
It's Mecca.
The aura. That aura.
Yeah, they're Mecca sports. Like those
exactly.
It's
like it's part of that. Monaco is part of that holy trinity. Where that guy, Mr. Monaco, won. He won three races at
Le Mans. It's Le Mans, Indy 500, and Monaco.
Exactly. It's the holy trinity of motorsport. You can't get rid of it. I love it. The glitz, the glamour, bring it on. The celebs love it. And I'm not really like a big celeb fan, but it's just everything about it. And then it's Monaco. Last year when it didn't happen, the season didn't feel complete. It didn't feel complete without Monaco. And now you have Monaco. It's basically like all the drivers' home race because they all basically live in Monaco as well.
Fair enough. I mean, I still find it difficult to see where you guys are coming from, because if you play at the new camp, if you play, if you have a boxing match at Madison Square Garden, or if you're going to have a basketball match, wherever, anything can happen within that perimeter. If you go to Monaco on that street circuit, you know exactly what's going to happen. Whoever sticks it on pole, I just gave you the facts, like the past 4 races. Whoever sticks it on pole is going to win that race.
Yeah, but
it is what it is.
Pole's exciting though, isn't it? Like look at last weekend. Like even though yes, the main event is the race, it was quite boring. But the amount of controversy we had from that Saturday and going in, it was so much to talk about. It's like there wasn't a dull moment to say, oh. Even then, even when the race was going on, we even got this Lance Stroll interrupting everyone. It always brings something. It brings a moment. So it's not boring.
No, man.
It gives something. It gives something. And then to see Max's face when David Coulthard stopped interviewing him for Serena, it was even more beautiful.
We take that. Kwame, let's get your thoughts on Monaco, mate.
I think with Monaco, it's an interesting one. It's a unique situation. I feel like with Monaco, the issue is the track itself, the circuit itself, isn't it? It's not built for modern F1. Like, it's one of the only circuits that I'm pretty sure exceeds the FIA track limits. So this goes like its own unique role. And because it's such a small street circuit that you can't really build upon. It was built with like much more smaller cars in mind. Now you've got all these big cars. It's very hard to overtake, and it's very hard to go fast as well. So you get situations now where the races are dead. I can't lie. Like I was on the Twitter account more. Shout out Pitstop Fracas Twitter account. Follow us. I was on that more, just tweeting about the race because it was just dry. But then the issue again, like Martin and Nam said as well, it has got that glitz and glamour to it, which is very unique to Monaco. I wouldn't say any other circuit has that. Maybe Abu Dhabi, maybe Silverstone, maybe Singapore, but no circuit's got that aura or the history connected to Monaco than any other circuit on the grid. It is F1's crown jewel, as you guys said. Like drivers like Ayrton Senna, he is Mr. Monaco. Was it 6 Monaco wins he's had? Like he made that circuit and the heritage that he built, the famous stars and celebs that get you, Serena Williams who came through, your I could guess Spider-Man, Tony Parker, what's his name? I forgot, but yeah, the guy who plays Spider-Man, Toby, Peter Parker, sorry, he was there. Tom Holland, that's the name, Tom Holland. He was there. You get all these big celebs just there watching it and following. So that's the thing with Monaco. You have that, and you can't really replace that. You can't replace the feel or tradition. So I feel like issues, not much can be done to the circuit. So maybe make it like a one-off. Maybe you try to get other teams, drivers in kind of like Indy 500s or cars or whatever. But then they kind of do that already with the historic races. They do. They had one where I believe John Lacey was driving around in Ferrari. So
yeah.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure.
It's one of those things. I'm still going to stick by what I said. I don't find it interesting at all. You guys just want free tickets to Monaco. That's what it sounds like. Just to just to go partying, pop bottles of champagne, have parties on the yachts. That's clearly what it's like, isn't it? So if Formula One send us some e-tickets, don't worry, guys. I've got access to the Twitter account. So does Kwame. So we're getting first dibs on those, by the way. But yeah, Nam. Any final thoughts on Monaco, mate?
I don't know if any of you's watched it, but earlier today I watched the Indy 500, and to be fair, it has the same kind of issue, probably to a lesser degree than Monaco, where most of the cars are quite similar. They go around in a circle, and that's it. But because the advertisement and the money that's behind Indy 500 and kind of like the allure and the tradition, it still draws in big crowds. There was like fully packed COVID, like definitely some COVID issues there. But
they weren't adhering to the rules, yeah?
Yeah. But it draws that allure. I think with F1 and Monaco, I guess a lot of people are starting to question whether Monaco should be there. But I think maybe they should look in that route of, all right, how do we make it into that kind of special event? What do we need to do? And I think we're going to touch on probably a point that I think could work in regards to like livery and like special cars for Monaco.
Yeah, I want to add to that quick point as well, because even the Triple Crown, like I said, Le Mans still got it. It's a law, 24-hour circuit. Indy 500 still got it's a law in being in America. It's oval track. It's very similar to the other oval track circuits there. So it's not too like out of the blue. Still with the current Indy ilk per se. But Monaco is much more of a old circuit. Kind of lost that fast attacking appeal that it had back in the day. So I thought that's kind of issue. They need to find a way to bring that back over.
Yeah. So Nam did touch on one point, and that is the livery in Formula One. And what we saw McLaren do, if you didn't know already, they switched up their colours and they went to the golf theme. So a gorgeous baby blue and orange scheme they had for their car to represent, the close ties that they have with golf. What was your take on it initially, Martin? How did you view it? Did you like it? Is it something we should continue to see in Formula One?
I think it's nice that you're coming into a special race at Monaco, and then you've got a new livery to look at, and it was like literally all the talk up until the practice sessions. And I mean, thank goodness that the McLaren as well as a fast car, because it would have been kind of embarrassing if it they did all of that work on promotion and delivery, and then your car's finishing outside the podium. So it was nice to see. It's a lot. The golf, it brings back. I don't bring back much memories for me, but for others who more into the motorsports, obviously bring back some memories. And then it's a nice livery to have. It's fresh. It's like when you got the away kits in football, and
Exactly.
you got your home kit, but then you got the away kits, and the away kits is when you could do something a little bit different with. And it's like it's refreshing to see. Like Ferrari did it as well last year, Marcello as well, and you go that deeper maroon red, and you just I would like to see more teams do it. I mean, Mercedes have done it to an extent this season with their BLM livery, but that is like a livery that's going to be over for the whole season, where you might rather getting something more like a one-off, maybe going back to like the early W10 with Merck or something, or in terms of I don't know any other team. Like for me, when I saw the McLaren one, I'd rather than going back to that Marlboro red and white, that classic red and white
one.
Yeah, but
we all know about that red and white one. In fact, Kunle probably knows about that one because he's like 50, 60 years old. The only reason why I say that because I need to fire some shots at him on this pod, because when he turned around in the group chat and said that I was mid-40s this week, that got me bad. So I'm going to be firing a few shots towards Kunle during this pod, and obviously he can't throw him back because he's probably out playing bowls or I don't know, bingo night or something right now. But Kunle, we hope you're doing well, and as Martin touched on, we know you remember that red and white McLaren. Kwame, I'm going to come to you on this. In terms of the livery, do you reckon it's better that they do the special edition and special livery and have it as a one-off, which gives it more appeal, or keep it for 3-4 races, or even keep it for a season?
The special liveries, I feel like personally, I feel like me personally, I think 1 or 2 races here and there. Like I said, it keeps the appeal. One thing I kind of do like about F1 compared to other race series is that teams do have their own like livery, which is like their team livery, so everyone knows. Okay, Ferrari red, Mercedes silver, Aston Martin green. Whilst if you compare to other motorsports series, like even like Indy, you have all these teams have different cars. Like Andretti Autosport will have like 5 different sponsors and different cars, so it can get confusing to see as a fan. But at the same time, it does get boring when you see the same colors over and over again. And
Exactly.
McLaren, for example, everyone got into the season because their livery was the same livery as last year, with the same colors. Everyone's like, this is boring, this is tiring. So I feel like 1 or 2 races here and there, special events, like for example, your Ferrari doing the 1000 GP last year at Mugello, or even Mercedes the year before, and they had a special livery as well in a German Grand Prix. I feel like stuff like that I'll be here for. Or but I mean, it's been around in the past. For example, you had Red Bull with the Wins for Life. You had BAR were very prominent for doing that. They even tried to do the separate livery thing. But I don't mind like 1 or 2 things here and there. But if it's constantly changing every race, then I think we'll just get the main appeal will just get lost.
Yeah, I think for me, I think like as just following from what Kwame said, home races, I think they should maybe introduce like a one-off livery. Like, I'd say going back to the football kits, you got your home kit and your away kit. Just have like maybe once a season, every season, everyone has their own home race, don't they? So Mercedes obviously have Germany, Red Bull have Austria. So each team has a home race. So if you just bring out like a special livery for that home race, obviously it might not be for the teams that are nearer down the bottom who have less money to spend. It might not be as economical, but I mean, I'm sure you can just go ask like some Yanamais to wrap your car, F1 car. So.
Just make a quick trip down to Enfield, and Yanamais will hook you up. But yeah, we're not plugging Yanni on this pod. Touching on what you said though, Kwame, with Mercedes, I know in the recent past, I think they've done it one for Niki Lauda at Monaco.
Yeah,
I remember they had
like
a white tip as well in Germany
a
few years ago.
The red tape as well.
So yeah, Mercedes are always doing. Obviously, they've got you know, the overall black one last year, and again that same theme this year. Nam, what's your thoughts on sort of livery in Formula One? Should it stay?
Yeah. I think I do like the one-offs. I do enjoy them. I think for me, like I said before, if it's at Monaco, it works, and probably having that specialness of delivery at Monaco will probably work for me. I kind of disagree with Martin on the home races, because then everyone's home race is technically Britain. So we're going to have all liveries at Britain. And then Red Bull's going to say, oh, well, but we're at Austria as well. So they're going to make some livery at Austria. And then someone like, Mercedes is going to go, well, but we're based here. No, Toro Rosso will be the worst. Because they'll be like, oh, well, we're based here, but our team's Italian, but we have Austria. They'll just do it everywhere. So
all over the place, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I think maybe, like I said, we struggle with Monaco, so let's have Monaco as the one where everyone just has, and then we kind of like keep everything else for the rest, unless there's like a special cause, a 50, 100 years kind of livery that they want to do. Then they can do it for the whole year, but maybe have like, I don't know, or like for special days, like a Chinese New Year one, like what they do in the NBA or something like that. So
we'll be sure to do something like that for Kunle's 75th birthday. We'll make sure we'll get a special livery in for him to to remember him there. But guys, moving the conversation on swiftly, let's talk a bit about number 2 drivers. Formula One, it's always had 2 drivers in the hot seat. Sometimes you have 2 drivers that they treat fairly. Sometimes you have, a clear number 1 and number 2 driver. Kwame, let me come to you on this. Who do you think in recent time has been the best number 2 driver, not only to supplement the number 1 driver, but also to help the team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's funny because we talked about it in Discord. We talked about this in Discord as well, like a couple months ago as well. So, but I think it's a very important topic because it's a topic that's very recurring in Formula One, especially now with Bottas. And a lot of people do question Bottas to see the number 2 that Mercedes needs, even though he does get the podiums here and there. He hasn't been really challenging Lewis or challenging Lewis, even though he does get points. But for me, I'll go list over. I say my top 5. I'll say Massa, Coulthard, Webber, Barrichello, and I like Bottas in there as well. Rosberg, we'll get to the conversation about Rosberg, but I don't really see him as a number 2 driver. But I'm not even the biggest fan of it as well. But the reason I'll say that is because he was competing with Lewis, and the way I know Mercedes out to cap now, especially Bottas saying he's not number 2. They did the same, but Bottas' results have been number 2 level. With Rosberg, he actually got a championship. No one else unless I said they had a championship. So, because if that's the case, then I can include people like Button in there. I can include like people like Kimi technically, even though in the second spot Ferrari, even though his first spot in McLaren and first spot in Ferrari was good, and so forth. But yeah, I say Massa is up there, Coulthard, Barrichello, them 3 Webber as well. I say them 4 guys. And it's very close to number 2 drivers as well, I feel like. So there's no typical that could be close to change.
So I think you said Massa, obviously, during his time at Ferrari, when he was supporting Alonso. Then you said DC, supporting Hakkinen. Next one you said was Barrichello.
Webber.
Yeah, Barrichello, Webber. And then Bottas.
Bottas, yeah. And that's me basing it on their peaks as well. So it's not me basing it overall, but that's for me basing Massa on the 2008 season solely, rather than me basing it at his last 3 seasons for Ferrari, where he was just not yet.
But you see how you said that, yeah? So obviously, let me just say my pick is Rosberg. So you just said that not Rosberg, because obviously he's got a championship and none of the other drivers done. Massa was one Timo Glock not letting Hamilton pass him, move away from a championship.
A world championship.
He thought he won that championship when he crossed the line.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna hear that, because
if he won it, he would not be my list.
Massa as a number 2. You can recognize Massa as a number 2. Rosberg, Rosberg was always kind of being the number 2 at Mercedes, because when he came through, then he had Schumacher there. He was kind of the lead driver, but not really the lead driver. I think Rosberg was outperforming him anyway.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But then when they brought in Hamilton, because he's a big star guy. Like Rosberg, obviously, he had wins before, and he had a few podiums before as well. But he never really, no one would have ever called him a number 1 driver. No one ever would call him a title challenging driver until they got that car, until they got the whatever car they got for the 2014 season. So without that car, and say, for example, those rule changes never happen, and Mercedes just have to keep on developing like the V12, V10 engines, then Hamilton's going to be your main guy. Rosberg's still going to be your number 2 guy. So now I'm not going to have it. When Hamilton's come in, just because Rosberg has a competitive car and can challenge him, does not make him any different from being a number 2 driver. I feel like even though Mercedes don't like to put their drivers into, or pigeonhole their drivers into number 1 or number 2, it was quite clear that, you know what, Lewis is the star here, and we expect him to win the championships for us. And Rosberg just don't do anything stupid, but we just want you to be number 2. Now get that second position and really wrap this championship up as early as possible. And the only reason why people might say now, Rosberg, just because Rosberg didn't want to accept he was kind of like that number 2 and actually kept attacking Hamilton. And obviously we know what happened between 2014, 2016 and all the incidents that happened from Monaco to Spain and all of that. Those type of incidents happened, but Rosberg was always finishing most times behind Hamilton. Hamilton won 2, Rosberg won 1. I think even in the first season when Hamilton went, Hamilton did outperform Rosberg as well. So Rosberg's always kind of been that number 2 driver. Just because they helped to gift him a championship in 2016 doesn't change that fact.
I think go for it.
Yeah, go for it, Kwame.
I mean, I just about to counter at this point. I feel like with Rosberg, with Schumacher, I start from there. With Schumacher, I feel like he was, in my opinion, first time when I was watching it, I feel like this guy's gonna be the number 2. Even though I really see work system with points, because compared to his teammates like Nakajima and Wirtz, who were pretty dead for you, getting like 0 points compared to him. I feel like Michael, he was a good coming back. He's got experience, 7 more championships. I thought, team would be built around Michael, and then Nico's just a German face, the German name they bring in just to appease to him. So I thought, cool, second driver. So I thought at the time, but his results backed him and showed that he was outperforming Michael. And then again with Lewis, I'll say 2014, 2015, he was a second driver. He was just the guy supporting Lewis. But as the 2016 season for me, I felt like that's when the team kind of felt like more of an equal playing field. If Rosberg was the second driver, they'd be doing calls saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But he was up there competing with Lewis, which the other drivers I mentioned, they weren't even competing with their teammates. They were just playing second fiddle with them. And I feel like hindsight definitely is 2020 with Rosberg 100%. Especially looking back now, you do see, no one in the field has really competed with Lewis since he's only driver to beat Lewis. But I feel like, with Rosberg, especially the 2016 season, he was definitely 1-2. It was changing. And they were obviously competing with each other, which the number 2 drivers usually have called that more to anyone, like Webber was these times in Spain, Bahrain, they were just letting them race 30. So.
Yeah, I think you could look at it. Yeah, I think I agree what you're saying, and a lot of it is like hindsight. But you can also look at it this way: like Red Bull always want like a driver basically to be close to Verstappen or to be challenging Verstappen, basically. So. In the same way that Mercedes had Rosberg and Hamilton, that Red Bull always want that. When they had Verstappen and Ricciardo, they wanted to keep Ricciardo and Verstappen. and they know it would have led to something similar to Hamilton and Rosberg. But Verstappen was still the second driver until Ricciardo's last season. Then Ricciardo kind of slipped into that second driver kind of role. And he kind of realized for my own career, I have to move somewhere else. So Rosberg never done that. Rosberg said, you know what, I'm going to stand and fight and prove that I can win a championship, even though maybe some people might view me as a second driver, in which he kind of really was. So that's just one point.
He wasn't the second driver when he got to Mercedes.
He kind of was.
No,
like,
he wasn't.
When he came in with Michael, he only came in with Michael. Michael was they brought in Michael to build it, not to build a team around Michael. I think they had the view Nico might be able to go on and do things. But with Michael, they wanted Michael to help build a championship winning car, like what Vettel and Alonso are meant to be doing at the moment.
Nico Rosberg was supposed to be the German superstar for the German team. The fact that they had to get Michael Schumacher out of retirement to do this that's why I know it. Nico Rosberg fell into becoming the number 2 driver because they realized maybe Nico isn't as good as what we think he is, and then Hamilton was available, so they signed up Hamilton, and then everything kind of shifted then.
So I think
I don't think he's good enough.
So I think on the Rosberg point, I think it would have been good to see Rosberg for Mercedes at a time when they weren't the quickest car on the grid. So he was there, with Hamilton. Obviously, that's the key era we're referring to. He was there from 2014 to 2016 when quite clearly they had the best car on the grid. Now, from 2017 onwards, you had Ferrari knocking on the door. 2018, again, you had Ferrari. And, since then, even now, you have Red Bull there. So it'll be interesting to see how Rosberg would have done when Mercedes weren't the quickest car on the grid. See if he could actually, step up and sort of make an impact. But going to move it swiftly on from Rosberg. And I want to talk about Webber. So Mark Webber, Martin. How did you see him at Red Bull? Do you think that was just his level, just to support Vettel? Because I remember in 2010, you might not remember it clearly. I definitely do. He was like fighting for the championship up until like the last few races, and then ever since Vettel sort of got that championship, it was quite clear that he was, the main man there.
I think similar to. I think he's like a hybrid between Rosberg and Bottas. So while he came in at Red Bull and was able to be a challenger when he first came in, I think as you said, when Vettel won that first championship, it kind of just said, yeah, we're moving backwards. Like in a way, he took a step backwards. I think especially when he was getting on with age as well. And I think he was just happy, not really happy to take that step back, but he wasn't going to kick up a fuss. I think he's too much of a nice guy to kick up a fuss about it. Let's say like Ricciardo did or something, or any other driver will really kick up a fuss. So in a way, he kind of just took that Bottas role and he just did what he had to do, and he got Red Bull the points and helped them get their drivers' championships, and that's all he could have done really. I don't think there's any much really to say. Like Mark Webber, good, very good driver, very consistent, and it's like what you will say about Bottas, very good driver, very consistent, but just missing that it factor in terms of to win the championship.
Yeah, well said, and probably, agree with you on the whole there, mate. For me, probably the best number 2 driver, if you can call it recent history, is probably Rubens Barrichello. I think what he'd done at Ferrari was great. There was a whole team orders debacle in Austria. I can see Nam, you're shaking your head there, but I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Look, he was there. He was quite clearly the number 2 driver for me. he wasn't ever competing with Michael. He got the odd race win here or there for the team. They kept him happy. He even came on the radio and said, yeah, look, not on radio. He came on TV after, I think, one of the Austria Gate scandals, whatever you want to call it. And he said, yeah, look, they pay my wages, so I'm just going to obey the team orders. I don't ever think he had an ambition or desire to try and be the number one driver there. I think he was just brought in to support Michael. And it is what it is, because they were winning their constructors, and obviously Michael winning the respective drivers' championships. But Nam, go for it. Let me get your take on this. How did you see Barrichello? And following on from that, who was your best number 2 driver?
Right. So Rubens was okay. I think. Let me tell you who I thought was the best number 2 driver. I think I read the task wrong, but I think Eddie Irvine was the greatest number 2 of all time.
Really?
Simply because
is this one of the guys from Kunle's time?
Yeah.
But
Who know about him?
he was the number 2. He stuck to his role. He didn't waver or fault from it.
Yep, I think we lost Nam there.
Some of the things he did off track, but yeah, he's the complete number 2.
Yeah, I mean, he was there for what, 3 seasons. He was a good number 2 driver. I remember when Schumacher broke his leg in the British Grand Prix in '99. He sort of stepped up and was very close to win the championship. Obviously, Mika Hakkinen pipped him. Yeah, I think he was a good driver. I think it can be argued that he was one of the better number 2 drivers. But for me, I think it's going to be Barrichello. But yeah, guys, I just want to move swiftly on to the final agenda item. Again, coming back to ex-drivers. I don't know what's going on in the sporting world. You have ex-drivers, ex-football managers, all these guys are still just trying to have an impression on the sport and how it is now. And there's a quote from David Coulthard this week. Don't want to dive too much into what he actually said, but the gist of the conversation, or the gist of the quote, was that eventually we're going to move from the Hamilton era into the Verstappen era. So I'm going to come to you first on this, Martin. What was your initial take on that? Do you think eventually it will be the Verstappen era once Hamilton eventually finishes?
As I said before in the group chat, I don't listen to drivers who have 13 wins in 15 seasons. David Coulthard's a nice guy, but he's useless.
DC, DC.
DC, you could call himself whatever he wants, but it's just pure nonsense. There's no. I've said this about Verstappen. There's no evidence to say. I mean, until this season, we have seen no evidence to say that Max Verstappen will go on to dominate F1 the way made to say Lewis Hamilton or Michael Schumacher or even Ayrton Senna and all of those guys did back in their day. There's no one that he hasn't ever shown anything like that. He has. All right, yes, we can see he's a fast driver and he's got raw pace, and that there isn't much drivers on the grid that come close to him. But the fact of the matter is, there is, as I said, there's no evidence to prove that. And yes, and then when we've got the regulations coming in as well, no one knows if Red Bull's going to have a good car. Red Bull could even flop with their engine again in after next season. So we just, it's an engine freeze, but we don't know how the engine's going to be next season because they're literally just having to use that engine this year. So if something happens to that engine next year as well, and it's losing pace, and with all the aerodynamic changes, moving part, we don't know. We don't know. We can't say, like, for one, I've been saying Hamilton's going to get number 10, but I can't say that confidently because I don't know if Mercedes have a dominant car. We don't know who's going to have that dominant car or who's going to have those quick cars. And DC just chatting absolute nonsense. And yeah, he just needs to stick to interviewing the drivers on Channel 4, and that's it. No opinions,
There
please.
you go. But Bob's your uncle. There you go. Nam, hopefully you're still with us. What was your take? What was your take on those comments from DC? If you want to come off mute, could help.
Yeah, you talk to me.
Yeah. Your comments. Sorry, your view on DC's comments earlier the week.
I mean,
to do with...
Martin put it bluntly. Like, DC is on Channel 4, a channel that hasn't got any any live races. So
yeah,
that's all I'm
bro.
going to say.
Who even watches the Channel 4 highlights? Let's be real. Who watches the Channel 4 highlights? No one watches that. So yeah, he's just trying to make I don't know what he's trying to make the headlines.
I'm gonna have to go on a bit. I'll have to go on a bit more now because this just reminded me because I've been it's been really getting on my nerves as well. Like, and I think this is going on to like another topic that we said we were going to talk about, and I know Kunle wanted to talk about it as well. But the policing of Hamilton and the things he's saying, and like for me, if the sport's not giving Hamilton the respect he deserves, they're still treating him like a rookie, and I hate to see it. Like he said, if he says anything bad, or even on his team radio, where he goes, "Oh, Bono, my tires are gone," people can't keep on complaining about these things time and time again. And everything Hamilton says or does, or if he, for example, him and Max Verstappen had a few petty comments back and forth, but everyone's going more after Hamilton for those comments. It's like, but why do you people keep on doing this to Hamilton? And it's really starting to get on my nerves. Even coming down to when we're talking about when people talk about he's one of the greatest drivers. He's not one of the greatest drivers. He is the greatest driver. I'm sorry, we cannot be calling him one of the greatest just because he's on the same amount of championships as Michael Schumacher. He's a lot better than Michael Schumacher. He's broken how many records over the past 2-3 seasons? And you can say what you want about the car. Yes, the car helped, but only a great driver, an exceptional driver, the best driver of all time can do that in that car. No one else can come close to it, and it's really starting to annoy me. So give my guy his props. Give my guy his props and stop policing what he's saying because it's really starting to annoy me. It's really annoying me now.
You know what? I think you've summed it up perfectly, Martin. Because even this week, I stumbled across an area Twitter that I don't ever want to go and explore or see again. But some of the hate that Hamilton was getting was literally unbelievable. Like they're just calling him like a crybaby and complaining on the radio. Like he didn't even complain that much. He just said, "Why have you done this to me?" Like Max Verstappen was swearing for 10 seconds straight during qualifying. And everyone said, "Oh, he's enthusiastic and that's good for Max and this and that and the other." And I was just like, bruv, come on, man. Like, you cannot be disrespecting the greatest ever driver like that. And it really, really is pissing me off. But guys, look, that's exactly what we're here for at Pit Stop. We just want to, treat everyone fairly, yeah? If you're going to make it make sense for one person, do it across the board.
But Anik, I think it's because they believe that we're taking their sport away. We're taking their sport away. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Listen, we are taking their sport away. Hamilton's doing it now, and Ugo's going to do it in the future. We are coming for your next. It's our sport now, yeah? Look at my skin color. It's our sport now.
But I think that's what that level of sense, that level of hate is. For them, it's like, wow. So the first the first black driver to enter Formula One has immediately gone off to win the most titles.
Multiple.
He almost won the season in his first season, and then he won the season in his next season, and then he's gone off to a Mercedes team, which, let's not lie, they weren't great at the beginning, and made them into one of the best championship teams of all time. And they're thinking, how come Coulthard couldn't do that? How come David Coulthard couldn't be that guy for us? Why can't he be? So they're resting their laurels on a driver that personally I don't think is good enough. I don't think Verstappen is that he hasn't shown me anything that makes me believe, like you said, Martin, hasn't shown me anything that makes me believe that he is going to be one of the greats. He might win a championship, but he might win a championship. That's it. I don't see how on driving ability alone, and I said this last time, and I've said it on the chat, and I've said it on Twitter, he didn't do great in the junior championships. He won the first race at probably the best Red Bull at the time when he got to Red Bull, and he hasn't done much since. Like if he's destined to be better than the greats, he has to essentially beat the greats, maybe one or two here and there, but consistently, or try and challenge further. And only until Red Bull has delivered a racing car that could probably match it, that's the only time that he's considered to be all right, cool. Let me now like he hasn't. This is the first time he's really challenged. And think about it, how many races have there been? There've been 5, right? Or 6?
5 races.
And
5.
Hamilton won. Yeah, 5 races. And Hamilton's won 3 of them.
3.
And
Verstappen's won 2.
Verstappen's won 1, and he was handed the other. That's let's be real.
I would agree with you. I'd say it was handed, but
yeah. So like, and when we were watching practice, when we was watching testing, we was watching practice, Red Bull looked like they were gonna walk the championship. But here we are.
So I'll give you an example. Yeah, I want to come back to this radio rant from Max. Yeah, as much as it was funny, and we appreciate you dropping the content in the chat, Nam. It was funny. It was laughable. We can go and show this content. But if Hamilton had done that, would Hamilton even do that? He would never do that. You're on a hot lap, yeah. You probably just gone purple. That's the lap. You're probably going to stick it on pole. You're probably eventually going to win it on Sunday. Hamilton will never in a million years even swear. He doesn't even. He says friggin'. He doesn't even go full blown with the F word. That's the way Hamilton is. It's like, yeah, I don't know what to say. It just annoys me, to be honest with you.
He would have said, "We'll get them in the race." That's what he would.
Exactly.
Man.
He would have been humble and said something like that. That's just the way it is. And for me, that's what you want to see in a racing driver. That's why I love Hamilton so much. But yeah, Kwame, let me get your take on this before we wrap up.
I've calmed down a bit in it, but before I was a bit heat with this. But thing of David Coulthard is I'm not surprised with the comments, only because he's currently a Red Bull ambassador still, and he's obviously got past ties with Red Bull with the team. The fact that he was their first driver as well, and I think he may still be a test driver or demo driver. So there's going to be biases there in it. So I'm not surprised about him trying to gas up Max. Don't get me wrong. I do feel like Max, may win a championship here and there. I probably like 2 or 3 or something like that. But I don't see him like being levels with Hamilton or with Schumacher or with Prost or RP. But I do think he'll be multiple time, but not that great. But I think, like you said in the article as well, which I've got into the article as well. Coulthard did say as well. He does think Leclerc, Norris and Russell will be up there as well. But which I think it'll be them four guys will be fine for the championship. It just depends on the car, but you can't just be saying, "Oh yeah, beef is happening." But like these men say, I agree with them. Like you can't just try to be dismissing Hamilton like that. I feel like he's one of the goats, and he's one of the goats. He's the goat. He's the greatest driver in the sport. And I feel like people try to dismiss him. And I do feel like as well the way people treat him, especially social media and the media as well. Fam, I just have to be honest in it. Like it's wasted. I can't lie, because he's very calm and quite composed. He's very more mature, especially compared to how he was when he started. Don't get me wrong, but if he did same as Verstappen, swerving down the radio all the time, pushing certain drivers off the track, he'll get hate for it. He'll get straight hate for it. Even the way that Coulthard trying to say that Hamilton's not media friendly, like how Hamilton's not media friendly. Is he not the most followed guy on Instagram? The guy is bigger than the whole F1 sport. I can't lie. I know you don't say no one driver, no one team is bigger than the sport, but he's got a bigger following by himself than the sport. And these times they're still trying to get him to say he's not media friendly. But I think it's just because Hamilton, I would say Hamilton's different. He's unique in it. He's his own driver. He's not like the other drivers, isn't it? So I feel like because of that, he does get, looked down a certain way. And also have to remember as well, with Coulthard as well, he does own his own production team who do the services for Channel 4 and I think maybe Sky as well, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to bear that in mind. Also call Bundle as well. Shout out Bundle. I know I'm calling Bundle, but Martin Bundle as well. But no, all jokes aside, it's just frustrating how I feel like how he does get treated, how he does get disrespected. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do feel like Max will definitely improve and come good. I do feel like he's a good driver. I do feel like he is still very rushed and issues like he's 23 now, he's been for 7 years now, and he's still somewhat the same guy how he was. I know he's calmed down a bit, but he's still some of the same guy he was back then. But I do feel like he will win titles here and there. Don't get me wrong, but comparing him to Hamilton saying this era last. I don't know.
Can I just say
I just want to say that. So I just want to say that, just following from what Kwame was saying about Hamilton and his fans, like he is big in the sport. How many of our cast members have started watching F1 because of Hamilton? Like I can firmly say, I mean, I've watched F1 slightly, just a few, but I really wasn't old enough to really understand it. But I watched a bit of F1 before, but Hamilton was what drew me to that sport. I wouldn't be sitting here watching it if it wasn't for Hamilton. I'm sure there's countless others, like how many of us in the group chat, about the amount of people that started watching, not because of Drive to Survive, but because of Hamilton.
Yeah.
So the amount of fans he's helped brought in, especially fans of color, it's just, you can't even describe what he's done for the sport. And then another thing, that just going back to the car thing again, people always want to drop this myth about, oh, it's the car. How many times has Cameron had like a terrible car when he was at McLaren or Mercedes in the first season, and the guy just finishes top 5, top 4. He does not drop out of the top 5. I don't think Hamilton's ever finished below 5th. Maybe once ever he's finished below 5th in the Drivers' Championship. The guy gets the best out of any car he's in. We've never seen anything like this before, and we will never see anything like it again. Yes, Verstappen, he will do well, and he'll maybe win 2 or 3 championships over the next 10, 15 years, but that's about it. He'll never do what Hamilton's doing. Yeah. He's never going to do it. I promise you that right now. You can mark this up and show it to my grandkids. He will never do what Hamilton's done.
Anik, can I just say one point?
You know what? Go for it now.
During Kimi Räikkönen, right? How many championships has he won?
1.
Okay. And during that time, people will say he was one of the best drivers that I would say Kimi Räikkönen's driving ability when he was at his prime is probably better than Verstappen's, right? And he's won 1 championship. Yeah. So why would I believe that a driver that I don't think is technically better than Kimi Räikkönen at a team that technically won't have an engine next season win multiple championships? I don't see how that's possible.
I get your point. But I feel like the issue with Kimi is I feel like he's sort of trying after 2007. Except for that lowest period, I feel like he's trying.
You can say Räikkönen, but look at Fernando as well. Fernando won 2, and he struggled. He's tried going to different teams to try and win a championship.
Bro, he tried to go to other series and stuff. Yeah.
Fernando is literally he is another one who's one of the greatest drivers. Like people say he's one of the greatest drivers as well. And he's a very good driver. No doubt about it, he's a very good driver. But the point
I was trying to say to make a point with it was something.
Yeah, but I think Fernando's better than Verstappen as well.
Yeah. So do I. But the point I was trying to make is even the bar's low with Räikkönen, right? That he even stopped trying and he got 1 championship, right? So, and I don't believe Verstappen is as good as Räikkönen in his heyday. And just because Kwame said that he thinks that Verstappen is going to win multiple championships, he's not going to do that at Red Bull, because personally, I don't see how a drinks manufacturer is going to try and build an engine that's going to rival like manufacturers that put cars on our roads. I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how a company that can't even hire actors to do adverts on the TV and said they draw their own and have the same tagline for the last 15 years is going to win multiple championships. I don't see how that's going to happen. So if Verstappen is going to win these multiple championships, then it has to be somewhere else. And I don't think he's got the ability to go to another team, fit there well, and win championships because he's not a good driver. And that's what I'm going to say today. And I'm finished. Yeah, I'm done.
Thanks for that. Nam, I mean, I love it. I mean, to be honest with you, I think Leclerc will be the next star. But I mean, I haven't got much credit for Verstappen, to be honest with you. I think he's massively overrated. But yeah, we'll save that for another day. The point that you made, Mark, about the reason why you got into the sport was because of Hamilton. All well and good, fair enough. And I know there is a lot of fans that have done that. But for me, I was watching Formula One before Hamilton came in, and to be honest with you, it was around 05, 06. I was actually starting to lose interest in the sport. But hand on heart, Hamilton is the reason why I have stuck and maintained with this sport. It's not just because he's from, an ethnic background and, we're going to have to back him. His ability on the racetrack in 2007, when I first saw him, was next to none. He would just go for the overtakes. He would be so exciting. He was such a bloody good driver, and he still is a bloody good driver. And that's why he's the reason why I've stuck to the sport. And I've got so much time for him. And honestly, 1000%, this guy needs to be respected more. Because as you said, he is the greatest driver of all time. Fingers crossed, touch wood, everything, he's going to make it 8, 9, 10 in the coming seasons. But yeah, guys, look, that's all we have time for today. If you haven't already, please follow us on Twitter at Pitstop Fracas. Join in on the Discord. Links will all be in the bio on the YouTube video. Give us a like on Apple, Spotify, all the good things. We appreciate it. Discord. I think I touched on that already, but Discord Live, we're going to be there next week. It's my favorite race, Baku. I love that circuit. 1.2 kilometers straight. Fantastic. Hopefully we'll see a few overtakes there. But yeah, guys, that's all we have time for. So yeah, peace.